Retirement is supposed to make life cheaper. At least, that's what many people believe. Think about it. You're no longer commuting to work every day. You're not buying expensive work clothes. You don't have to spend money on office lunches or fill your gas tank 5 times a month just to get to the office. The kids have probably grown up and moved out. You've spent decades paying into retirement plans. So naturally, you expect your monthly expenses to finally take a deep breath. But then retirement arrives. And something strange happens. The paycheck stops, yet the bills seem to keep showing up right on schedule. Some of them are expected. Electricity, water, groceries, and property taxes. Those don't surprise anyone. The real surprises are the bills almost nobody talks about before you retire. The ones that quietly sneak into your budget and leave you wondering, why didn't anyone warn me about this? And here's the frustrating part. Most of these bills aren't the result of bad planning. They're simply expenses that many people underestimate because they're too busy focusing on building their retirement savings. Saving for retirement is important, but knowing what you're actually going to spend once you retire is just as important. Let's start with the first bill. And for many retirees, it's the biggest surprise of all. Bill number 1. Healthcare costs don't retire. There's a common misunderstanding that goes something like this. Once I qualify for Medicare, my healthcare costs will basically disappear. If only that were true. Medicare is an incredible program that helps millions of retirees every year, but it doesn't pay for absolutely everything. There can still be premiums, deductibles, co-payments, prescriptions, dental care, vision care, hearing aids, and other expenses that come out of your own pocket. Now imagine this. You've finally retired, you're healthy, active, and life feels good. Then one afternoon you notice your vision isn't quite as sharp as it used to be. Maybe your dentist recommends a procedure you weren't expecting. Maybe your hearing isn't what it was 10 years ago. None of these things feel dramatic on their own, but they add up. It's a little like owning an older house. For years, everything works perfectly. Then one year the water heater needs replacing. Next year it's the roof. After that, it's the furnace. Individually, none of those repairs seem impossible. Together, they can become one of the biggest expenses you face. Your body works in much the same way. As we grow older, healthcare often becomes less about unexpected emergencies and more about ongoing maintenance, regular appointments, prescription medications, specialists, physical therapy. The goal isn't simply living longer, it's staying healthy enough to enjoy retirement. That's why many financial planners encourage people to think about healthcare as a monthly retirement expense rather than an occasional surprise, because chances are it won't be occasional. Bill number 2. Your house starts sending you invoices. Isn't it funny how houses seem to know exactly when you've retired? For years, everything feels fine. Then suddenly, the air conditioner quits. The washing machine starts making a strange noise. The driveway develops a crack. The roof decides it's had enough. If you've owned a home for a while, you already know this feeling. A house is a little like owning a very expensive pet. It constantly needs attention. And unlike your mortgage, home maintenance doesn't disappear after you've made your last payment. In fact, many retirees spend more time noticing things around the house simply because they're home more often. You finally have time to notice the deck needs staining. The bathroom could use updating. The fence is leaning. The gutters need replacing. None of these projects were emergencies before. Now they're staring at you every morning while you drink your coffee. Some retirees joke that the day after they stopped working, their house suddenly handed them a to-do list that had apparently been waiting for years. There's another reason this catches people off guard. During your working years, replacing a refrigerator or paying for a new roof might have felt easier because a paycheck was arriving every couple of weeks. In retirement, every major repair feels different. Instead of thinking, I'll earn that money back next month, you start thinking, that's money coming out of my retirement savings. Even if your financial situation is strong, it feels different psychologically. That's why many retirees keep a separate home maintenance fund. Not because something is guaranteed to break this year, but because something almost certainly will, eventually. Bill number 3. Retirement doesn't mean you're finished paying taxes. This is one of the biggest misconceptions in America. People spend decades dreaming about retirement, imagining a future where taxes become much smaller. After all, they're no longer earning a paycheck. Surely that means the IRS has finally lost interest in them. Not exactly. Many retirees are surprised to learn they may still owe income taxes on withdrawals from traditional retirement accounts like 401ks and traditional IRAs. Depending on your situation, a portion of your Social Security benefits may also be taxable. Then there are property taxes, state taxes, depending on where you live, investment income. The list goes on. Retirement doesn't necessarily eliminate taxes. It simply changes where they come from. That's why two retirees with exactly the same savings can end up keeping different amounts depending on how their retirement income is structured. And that's something many people don't discover until after they've already retired. The good news is that these first three bills can often be planned for. They're frustrating, but they're usually predictable. The next two bills are different because they don't just affect your wallet. They often affect your heart, and that's where you find yourself making financial decisions you never expected. Bill number 4. The bank of mom and dad never really closes. Here's something that catches many retirees completely off guard. You spend decades raising your children. You help them with school. You cheer them on at graduation. Maybe you even help pay for college. Eventually they move out, start careers, build families of their own, and you think, well, our biggest financial responsibilities are finally behind us. Then your phone rings. Dad, can you help us with a down payment? Mom, our car broke down. We're a little short this month. Would you mind watching the kids while we save on childcare? For many parents, saying no is incredibly difficult. After all, you've spent your entire life protecting your children. That instinct doesn't suddenly disappear because you turned 65. And then the grandchildren arrive. Now you're not just helping your children. You're buying birthday presents, helping with school supplies, contributing to college savings, paying for family vacations because you want everyone together. None of these things feel like bills. They feel like love. And that's exactly why they can quietly become one of the biggest expenses in retirement. There's nothing wrong with helping your family if you can comfortably afford it. In fact, many retirees say it's one of the greatest joys of retirement. The challenge comes when generosity starts replacing financial security. Imagine taking money from your retirement savings every few months to help someone else. At first, it doesn't seem like much. $1,000 here, $2,000 there, a few birthday gifts, a family vacation, or helping with a home repair. Over several years, those small acts of kindness can quietly add up to tens of thousands of dollars. Here's a simple rule. Many financial professionals encourage retirees to remember, don't put your own financial future at risk trying to rescue someone else's. That doesn't mean you stop being generous. It simply means your retirement needs to remain secure first, because the last thing most parents want is becoming financially dependent on the very children they spent years helping. Bill number 5. The expenses you never saw coming. Life has a way of reminding us that not everything can be planned. You can create a beautiful retirement budget. You can estimate healthcare costs. You can plan for taxes. You can even set money aside for home repairs. And then, life throws you something completely unexpected. Maybe it's helping care for an aging parent. Maybe your spouse develops a medical condition that changes everyday life. Maybe your car suddenly needs replacing after 20 years. Maybe a storm damages your roof, or perhaps your adult child experiences a job loss or divorce and needs temporary support. These aren't expenses anyone puts on a retirement checklist, but they're part of real life. Think about retirement like taking a long road trip across the country. You know roughly where you're going. You've mapped out the major highways. You've budgeted for fuel, food, and hotels. But somewhere along the journey, there's probably going to be a detour, maybe road construction, a flat tire, or terrible weather. The people who enjoy the trip the most aren't the ones who avoid every surprise. They're the ones who planned for the possibility of surprises. That's exactly why having an emergency fund remains important even after you've retired. Some people think emergency savings are only for working families. In reality, retirement may be when they're needed most, because once your regular paycheck stops, unexpected expenses have fewer places to hide. If listening to these bills feels a little overwhelming, here's the good news. Most retirees aren't surprised because retirement is impossible. They're surprised because no one ever sat them down and explained what retirement actually looks like. We spend decades learning how to save for retirement. Far fewer people teach us how to spend during retirement. And believe it or not, those are two very different skills. The goal isn't to avoid every unexpected expense. That's impossible. The goal is to expect that life will continue happening after retirement. Your house will still age, your body will still need care, taxes won't disappear, family will still need you from time to time, and life will continue throwing the occasional curveball. None of that means you failed, it simply means you're living. The retirees who tend to enjoy the greatest peace of mind aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest investment accounts. They're often the ones who leave room in their financial plans for real life. Because retirement isn't about predicting every single expense perfectly. It's about building enough flexibility that unexpected bills don't become unexpected crises. So if you're still working, don't just ask yourself, how much money do I need to retire? Ask yourself something even more important. What kind of life am I trying to pay for once I get there? That question changes everything. If you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe for more practical retirement insights designed to help you avoid costly mistakes, make informed financial decisions, and enjoy the retirement you've worked so hard to achieve. Because retirement isn't just about reaching the finish line, it's about making sure you can truly enjoy the years waiting on the other side.